Welcome to Geocache Adventures with me, Shadow Dragon 1, where I explore the world of geocaching. If you like the podcast, please consider leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or the Geocache Adventures Facebook page. Or share it with somebody that you think would enjoy it. Word of mouth is a great way to spread the podcast. You can also join Geocache Adventures on Buy Me a Coffee. Just follow Geo Adventures, that's one word, GEO Adventures on Buy Me a Coffee, and get behind the scenes on every episode or become a member to unlock other exclusive content. Hey everybody, AV Shadow Dragon 1 here, and with me today is Teri-Ann, fellow geocacher and host of the Geocaching Downunder podcast. Thank you for joining me today.
G'day, Amy. It's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, can you tell us what your geocaching name is?
Sure. So it's Purple Cache Eater, a bit of a play on the Purple People Eater, and then I just caching-ified it.
Nice. When did you get started geocaching and how?
I originally started in about 2009 with my dad, and we actually found about 2 geocaches together, and this was before mobile phones and apps. So we actually had to either print off the geocache listing page and take the bit of paper with us. And Dad bought a GPS as well. So we had the GPS for the coordinates and the page with all the information on it. And yeah, we found 2 geocaches. And then we sort of, forgot about it and did other things with our lives. And then I came back to it in 2016. I actually was talking to a neighbor and she was a geocacher. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I used to do that too. And then we started going geocaching together and sort of got restarted with it. So that's how I got into it.
Did you notice a big switch in things from when you did it in 2009 versus 2016?
Yes, absolutely. So the technology was the big difference for me. Like originally, bits of paper and a GPS, and then 2016 it was an app on the phone, and there was more to it than what there was in 2009. There was more types of geocaches, and there was more information on the pages, and it was interesting.
Big switch to jump back into it then.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your podcast a bit, Geocaching Down Under. Can you give us kind of an overview of what that podcast is and what it's about?
Sure. So the podcast was originally started by C. Michelle. He started it back in, I think it was 2016 or 17. He got it started and he had it for about 2 years. And then he moved from Australia to America and he reached out to me and said, would I mind taking it over? And then myself and another friend, Tattooed Squared, we started started carrying on the podcast. And basically the idea behind it was that Craig wanted, see Michelle, he wanted Australia to have local content about geocaching in Australia, which is why he started it. And then I've just carried it on. I really want to tailor the information to Australia. So I focus on events down here, souvenirs and all that sort of stuff. But what's going on in Australia for Australians geocaching, and try and bring out some of the stories and the different locations and encourage people to travel. And so really just localized content is the idea behind the Geocaching Down Under podcast.
Okay. That's quite a bit different than what we may be listening to up here. That's more related to us in the US. Besides being Australia focused, obviously, Geocaching Down Under, what makes your podcast unique?
I think we are a little bit different to a regular podcast. When we're not exclusively audio, we do a live show every month that we turn into the podcast. So it's probably not your typical podcast, just focused on audio. It's more of a TV show type format. So I try and get people encouraged to join in live in the chat room and ask questions and really provide feedback and really try to build that community sense in Australia. And it's really grown over the 2 years that I've had it. We originally sort of had 20 people watching the show live. Now we're sort of averaging around 60 people watching live. So really just trying to bring that community together and expand that and just share local content, really.
Do you notice a lot of repeat people tuning in every month?
Oh yes. Oh yes, absolutely. So the Patreons there, 90% of them are there every month. So they're the sort of diehard fans. But yeah, we do have a lot of repeat people watch every month. They sort of tune in, and that's their hour of entertainment every month because our show is on the second Tuesday every month for 1 hour approximately. So that's their geocaching entertainment for the month.
So for those who say have insomnia over here in the US and want to join in live onto your podcast, how can they do that?
Sure. So as I say, we broadcast live the second Tuesday of every month at 7:30 New South Wales Australian time. Now we're on daylight savings at the moment, so it does change back to Eastern Standard Time, but at the moment we're at Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I believe for the majority of America, it's around that 4, 5 a.m. type time of day. So it is a really early one, but I do actually have a couple of Americans who are up that early and tune in live every month. So which is super exciting. And I've even had some people from England tuning in as well. So yeah, if you can work out the time conversion, I think it's early morning for North Americans.
It sounds like it. And for those of us that are not up that early, we can find your videos posted afterwards on YouTube, correct?
Yes, so you can watch the video later on YouTube and Facebook. And then what I have been doing is converting the live show into just audio and posting that on all the podcast apps. So you can listen to it, but obviously better if you can see it.
Yeah, you have a lot of visual aspects in yours that if you can tune into the video makes a big difference
It
on the
is,
way you
yeah, and
absorb it.
it's really hard to convey an image using words to the listener, especially when we're showing, prizes and things like that. It's really hard to explain exactly what you're looking at. So,
Definitely. So for me, I've learned a lot about geocaching by doing this podcast. What is something that you have learned about geocaching due to your podcast?
oh, so much. So I'm not like a super geek that knows every in and out of all the technical stuff. So I've learnt about pocket queries. That's been an interesting one. I've learnt about geology. Some people are really into their earth caches and have explained, a few different elements to that. So that's been another element. I've just gone blank. What's the app where, hang on 1 second, and you plan out where you're going, your route, and it tells you which geocaches are on the way and you can plot your
Oh,
course. I've gone blank.
is it GeoGo that does that one?
Something like
Or there's
that.
Cashly?
Cashly, I use Cashly. That's my favorite geocaching app. Oh, I've gone blank. Can't think of it. But yeah, so just like different elements, like technical stuff, like yeah, pocket queries has been a big one. How to plot your course, little tricks of the trade, usually in apps and things like that, And
Yeah.
big one actually has been how to solve puzzles. Been exposed to more puzzles and solving puzzles and different techniques for breaking down a puzzle. Like I've got
Okay.
Cully Long's book, but when you talk to someone, it's a different element than trying to work it out from a book.
It
So that's
is.
been cool. Mm, mm.
That's cool. So, Australia, there's around 80,000 geocaches there. So it seems like a good chunk. You've got a different landscape than what we've got here in the US. You've got tropical areas, grassland, and you've got lots of arid deserts too. So, where you're at, what is kind of the climate geology that you experience when you geocache?
Sure. So I'm on the East Coast, just near Sydney, which is not the capital of Australia, just for Americans. A lot of people think Sydney's the capital, and it's not. But we are not quite tropical, and we're not outback, so we're coastal. So we get more tropical trees and rocks. You can sort of drive an hour west and hit a little bit more farmland and grassland type area, but mainly here it's suburbia, a little bit of farmland, fence posts along farmland and things like that. So a few mountains. There's a few mountains around here. Well, I say mountains, they're probably not very high mountains. They're probably only 1,000 meters, which is probably a foothill for you guys. But we do have some of those. There's quite a few tree climb caches popping up around here as well, where you need proper climbing gear. So that's cool. And tree fishing. I'm not sure if that's what you guys call it, but where you use a long pole or a fishing rod and you've got to reach up into the tree with the pole to unhook the cache. We call that tree fishing. Yeah. So they're popping up in popularity as well.
Very cool. So in Australia, we see the memes going around all the time on the internet that Australia is the place where everything wants to kill you. What is it? Excuse me. What kind of hazards do you actually encounter when you're out there geocaching in Australia?
Well, I would imagine we are not too far difficult from you guys over there. It really, you've just got to be aware of your surroundings. So apart from the animals, if you're on rocks or near a cliff, you've got to be aware of that. But in terms of animals, it's the creepy crawlies that you guys are all familiar with, snakes, spiders, ticks, bigger animals, things like that. But I guess growing up in Australia, you learn how to handle that. So I guess like you guys with rattlesnakes, you got to stomp your feet and make a lot of noise, and they're more scared of you than you are of them. So if they've got warning and you don't surprise them, they usually move away and don't attack you. You've really got to be aggressive and go into their environment to really get them, but you've got to try not to surprise them. So spiders, we take a stick or something like that and try and move the cobwebs out of the way. With snakes, you stomp your feet on the ground and that creates vibrations, and the snakes see you coming and they usually crawl back into hiding. Other than that, you've just got to be aware of like leeches and ticks. You've just got to check yourself for those. But other than that, not too much. Just be aware of your surroundings, really.
So pretty similar to what we deal here mostly.
Yeah, I don't think it's too far different, just be aware of your surroundings.
I do have a very specific question though. And
yeah.
So I recently saw on Facebook, of course, this video of coconut crabs that just swarm campsites and steal things. Have you heard of geocaches going missing because of coconut crabs?
That is a very specific question. No, I haven't. Not of coconut crabs. Really, the thing that gets us here is rodents. So we usually have, rats or things like that actually chew the plastic. Like, I don't understand why they're chewing plastic. Surely it's not that nice, but they tend to gnaw at the plastic containers and get in. And then, of course, the water gets in there. Ants attacking, and filling up a container is usually another big one here. But no, not coconut crabs.
I saw that video and I laugh because you just have these giant crabs trying to get people's food. And then my son read a book on them, and I guess they like to steal people's shoes for houses if you leave them out. So it made me wonder about geocaches.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I just went and checked on one of my geocaches 2 days ago, and a solid large, like a 500 mil pill container, and some sort of rodent had gnawed through the plastic, and now I've got a hole in my geocache I need to go and replace. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, but no crabs around here.
So the pill containers, that brings up another question. A lot of like the LPCs and stuff around here tend to be like those prescription bottle pill containers. Is that the kind of typical cache that you see a lot there for that type of hide?
Ours is we don't have the LPCs like you do, but ours are sort of guardrails.
Okay.
And we have, instead of the pill containers being the absolute bane of our existence, it's usually a mint tin. So I think it's like your little Altanoids or something like that. I think
Yeah,
you call them the
Altoids.
little, yeah. And it's that thin metal container that just rusts in a
Oh,
heartbeat, you know? So in the weather, it lasts moments, and they seem to be really prevalent everywhere over here. So mint tins are what we hate, and they're probably equal to your pill bottles.
okay. This may sound like a weird question, but a lot of the guardrail containers I see here are like little hide a key boxes.
Oh,
Do
yes.
they have those there in Australia?
We do have, you're talking
Okay.
about the little black ones with the sliding
Yeah,
lid?
slides open. You could put a
Yeah.
key in there. Okay.
Yeah, we do have those. They're not as common as other containers. Like the mint tins just are absolutely everywhere, and I don't know why people use them, but they're just real handy to have. Uh, but yeah, we do have some of those key hiders with the magnet too. Usually they're sort of under park benches and things like that.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Park
and in the
benches, guardrails.
yeah, the guardrails, we tend to have the little, I think you call them lock and locks containers.
Okay.
The
Yeah. Lock
little,
and locks.
yeah. Yeah, we have those.
What do you call them there? Do you have a different name for lock and locks?
We do. We call them by the company that makes them, which is Sistema. So
Oh,
we call them
okay.
Sistema containers
Okay.
because it's kind of like oh oh I've gone blank. What's the name? You know when someone hosts a party and you go and you buy all their plastic containers. What's that called?
Oh, the
Oh,
Tupperware.
Tupperware. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Tupperware, but it has the little hooks that lock into the container,
Yeah.
and they're absolutely water resistant. So they're great. Mm,
Yeah. I love those things.
yeah,
It's interesting. The same object has different terminologies in different countries, and it's interesting to hear what stuff
it
gets
is.
called.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I love that too. Finding out that the pill bottles are your annoying little containers that everybody uses, and mint tins are ours. I've yet to find out what they are in Europe, but I can't imagine they're too far different from what we're experiencing.
Yeah, it's got to be something similar. It's just,
Yep.
it's funny how you have those regional things
Mm,
like
mm,
that. So there is a lot of geo arts in Australia when I look at the map.
hmm
Have you done any of those?
I have found a few. I haven't put any out myself. I was looking at it, and it's a big commitment, I have to say. Like, you're sort of talking minimum sort of 20 to 30 containers. So you're talking 20 to 30 puzzles potentially, unless it's a real simple traditional geo art. And so you've got 20, 50, 200 puzzles that you've got to create. Then you've got to go put them all out. Then you've got to maintain them. So that side of it has deterred me at the moment. But I've actually designed a couple. I just haven't got my act together and put them out. But I've actually got my geocaching friend who I go geocaching with quite frequently. She's put one out, and it's got sort of 25, 30 caches in geo art. And yeah, it is a bit to maintain, but we love a geo art in Australia. Whenever we have a major event like a mega, we don't have too many, but when we do, they always put out at least one geo art for the event, and it usually
Okay.
stays after the event. Because I know we host our events a little bit different to you guys. You guys just have like a single day event. We usually make it like a full weekend. So the mega event day is on the one day, but we make it a full, Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. So and then, like I say, the geo arts hang around after. So if you don't make the event, you can go buy later, and you can still collect the geo art, which is great.
That's interesting. Yeah, we our
Mm,
mega events. I've seen a geo art for a couple of them, but they usually do a lot of adventure labs with
okay.
the geo
Yes.
events, or do like a power trail for the ones that I've
Okay.
been to up here. And they'll have, like you said, it's one big day for the event, but usually other cachers will get together and have uh events
Like
around it
side
leading up
events.
to it, side events
Yeah.
leading up to it. So you can make
Yeah.
a whole weekend out of it. I've
Yes.
talked to geocachers that make a week out of events by
Yes,
coming up early and just doing everything in an area, which is
I know. I need to win the lotto and buy a caravan and I
I
can just travel
know.
around. Wouldn't that be fantastic? But
That
yeah,
would
we do
be.
the adventure labs too for the event. So the event organizers will do geo art, they'll do adventure labs. We're not too big on power trails. Um, I personally like, I love them if you need them for numbers or a
Mhm.
souvenir or things like that, but they get tiring. You
Yeah.
know, when you're doing 50 or 100 in one day, it's sort of, it almost takes the fun out of it. But like, they serve a purpose. They're great, but for
Yeah,
the
doing that many in
experience,
one day feels like work to me. That it's
it
no longer
does.
fun.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people love it, but
Yeah.
it just feels like work to me.
It does. Yeah, that's right. At the moment, we've got one geo tour in Australia, which should be active for about another year. And that's down just north of Melbourne in a town called Ballarat. So we've got one geo tour here in Australia, which I'm yet to get done, which I'm really keen to get done because we've only got the one at the moment. So, but I know you guys have got quite a few, which is fantastic.
We do actually. It's
Mm.
kind of surprising how many different areas have been able to set those up and
Yeah, I think it's
maintain them.
fantastic. It's just frustrating that you've got to pay to have them because then we only get them for a limited time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then you hope that they renew the Geo Tour and keep it
Yeah,
going, but it's not guaranteed
that's
by any means.
that's right. Yeah. And if they're not around you, it's a real effort to go to the location where they are just to get them done.
Yeah.
Mm.
What is your favorite type of geocache to go do?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say probably adventure labs. Some of them have been really creative. Sometimes you get a story and you're following along the story. Some of them around here are historical, so actually learning a few historical facts about the area or people. So I find that fascinating. I have struggled over the years with mysteries and solving puzzles, but I'm getting better at it. I'm getting more practice as I slowly, remove all the multis and the traditionals off the map. I'm faced with just the mysteries. So I'm being forced to do them. But no, they're not too bad. And I have enjoyed actually earth caches. So I'm not a science nerd or a geek or anything like that. But, the easier ones that are easier to understand about like the geology and things, they've been
Yes.
interesting. Hmm.
Yes, I'm the same way. There's not a ton of earth caches by me, but it seems like there's two levels of earth caches, either straightforward, do
Yeah,
one, maybe two things, and then there's the earth caches that you need a master's degree
you do.
to
You
complete and have
do.
six different steps to it. And it's like,
Whoa.
okay, this is a lot.
This
If
is
it,
hardcore. This is right. Yeah.
yeah, some of
Well,
them get real hardcore.
I think my favorite earth cache was down in South Australia and it was in the Flinders Ranges and it was a fossilized beach. So you were
Oh,
looking at solid rock that had the ripples of the sand that were fossilized in the rock. And it was fascinating. I've never seen anything like it. But yeah, a fossilized beach. I think that's been one of my favorite earth caches.
wow, I've never heard of such a
Mm.
thing. That's pretty
Neither
cool.
had I. And that's the thing about geocaching is it takes you to amazing places and you see things and you go to places that you wouldn't normally go, even in your local area, which is super fantastic. You're like, I never would have gone to this particular location if it wasn't for geocaching. And I think that's probably the most exciting thing about it is the different locations and experiences of it. It's great.
Oh, absolutely. I've found stuff here in my local area that I grew up in and found
Mm,
stuff that had been there the whole time I never knew existed because a
yeah,
geocache took me there. It's pretty neat.
it is very cool. I love it. Yeah.
Here in the US, our states are divided up into counties. And a
Hmm.
lot of people like to find geocaches in the counties and do county and try to clear out a state by counties. Does Australia, you've got 6 states and 2 territories, are they divided up in a similar matter?
Yes. So we call them LGAs, which is basically just council zones. So we have
Okay.
councils for different areas. So yeah, within the state or the territory, we have many LGAs. So
Okay.
similar.
So
Very
is that
similar.
a thing there to go count
Hmm.
LGAs?
Absolutely, yeah. I've got another group of geocaching friends, and they plot out their day. So they really make it scientific. They take into account your Jasma grid, your Fizzy grid, your oldest geocaches in the area, your LGAs. Make sure they clear out all those different counties, as you call them,
Yeah.
and different types and different levels, and it is a real thing. And I've started doing it. I even printed off a little map and was highlighting my little zones.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, we do have a similar thing over here, and people really do make an effort to fill in all those different counties as well.
Have you been over here to the US before?
I have been there, but it was when I wasn't geocaching.
Okay.
Yeah, I came over in 2013 and did, the Florida Disney World and visited some friends there. But unfortunately, I wasn't geocaching at the time, and I'm absolutely kicking myself now. But yeah, so that was 2013. So yeah, 10 years ago, and I haven't been back since. But absolutely would love to come back over. Was really hoping actually to get over for the 20th anniversary celebration, but just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, that's a long flight.
It is a long flight. Yeah, it's like 15 hours from Sydney to LA.
Oof.
You're really going to be committed to getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's there's not much changing your mind once that starts.
No. And then if you're going over to the east coast of America, it's another, I think, what is that from west coast to east coast? Another 5, 6 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, depending on where you're
Yeah.
going from. Yeah, and then a lot
It's,
of times you have to have a layover somewhere,
mm-hmm.
and that just
Mm,
adds so much
yeah.
time.
And like, I think if you were to come to America from another country, you'd really want a minimum of 1 month touring around to really get to see some of the things. And it depends what you're into. You've got the
Yeah.
oldest geocache in the world, and you've got, all sorts of really cool different types of geocaches and adventures and things. You'd really want to plan it out and have a minimum of a month to go around, I think.
Yeah, who has that much vacation time is what I
Exactly.
need to retire to be able to do that. It's crazy.
Win the lotto, retire, buy a motorhome, and tour around, I think.
Hey, there you go.
Yep,
Sounds
I like
good.
that plan. Hmm.
If somebody was going to plan a trip to Australia to geocache, where would you recommend they go check out?
See, that's another difficult question. It depends on what you're into.
Yeah.
The oldest geocache in Australia is in Sydney. So if you're after old geocaches, Sydney. There's some really cool gadget caches all around the country. So all the major cities have some really cool gadget caches nearby. So you'd really want to look into those. Earth caches, I would say probably down the south end of Australia. So Melbourne and Adelaide, they've got some really cool earth caches. If you're into beaches, I would go towards Queensland and really explore the Queensland coast. But similar to like California, it's a long way. Like the coastline is long, and it's a long way between anything here in Australia. So yeah, you'd really want to target an area, I think. But yeah, it
Okay.
depends. I'd say either Melbourne or Sydney, you'd be pretty good at getting a wide variety of caches. Yeah.
So going back to Adventure Labs in the states here, the or the US, however you want to phrase that, the US here, uh, there are a few Adventure Lab series that have started taking place in different parts of the
Ah,
United States. So, like, for example, we have one along the historic Route 66 highway that starts in Chicago and goes all the way across to California, and there's Adventure Labs
okay.
along the way. Do you guys have anything like
Right.
that there?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm sure there would be. So that's a couple of people are tying in and using their adventure labs to create a big long trail.
Yes, and they actually
Ah,
for the Route 66 one, and there's a couple other ones I've heard of, but I'm most familiar with the Route 66 one because I've talked to the curator of that. They talked to geocaching headquarters and got all those Adventure Lab credits boosted up to 10
ah,
point.
Okay.
months so they could have more, because there's so many sites
Mm-hmm.
to see along there. So they worked with the
Yes.
headquarters to get that worked out.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. It seems like it has a good, I see pictures of people posting it on Facebook that traveling across Route 66, and there's been a couple cachers that have made the whole trip just to hit all the
Wow.
adventure labs along the way. So
That's phenomenal. I like that idea.
yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty
That
neat.
is very cool. I'm not aware of any, um, but I'm sure there would be something like that in Australia. But yeah, I'm not sure if anyone's reached out to headquarters to get the 10 stage adventure labs. It's probably just people combining their 5 stages and making a route that way. But no, I'm not aware of any.
Okay.
But it's a good idea.
It's definitely interesting, and
Mm,
it's popping up more. A couple different, there's a Lincoln Highway further north that does it, and then actually in my area geocachers got together, and it's called the Katy Trail. It's actually set up as a biking walking path, and they've been
right.
working on, and that goes pretty much across the state, and they've been working on making a series
Okay.
along there.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I'm sure that someone has done that. I'm aware of a couple of multis where different stages are in different states here,
Oh
which
wow.
is really challenging because, each state is thousands of kilometers away from one another. So I'm aware of a multi that does that, but surely someone's done that as an adventure lab.
A multi that goes across different states. That's wild.
I don't know how they did it because, from waypoint one to waypoint two, I think it's like 1,100 kilometers.
Yeah, I would feel like they would have issues getting that
Yeah.
approved.
Yeah, I don't know how they've done it, but yeah, I found that at one of the megas I went to. I'm like, oh look, waypoint one, where's waypoint two? 1,100 kilometers away. I'm not making that.
That's wow.
Yeah, it was hectic. I was like, okay, I don't know how you got that one through, but sure. I'm sure someone will do it.
That's wild.
Mm, yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not a huge multi fan, depending on how
No,
many stages there are.
yeah, and how far away they are. If it's like a
Yeah.
walking track and it's like a kilometer or something, sure. But yeah, when you got to start traveling, hundreds of kilometers for each stage,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to be real targeted.
If it gets up to like more than three stages, I'm kind of out.
You're pulling the pin, yep.
I'm kind of pulling the pin
My
and going
interest
to go
has
do
waned. I'm
something
out.
else. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's one
yeah.
near
I'm
me that has 10 stages. And it's like, I did try that one at one point, and I got to
yeah.
like stage 3 and the container was missing. And it's like, okay, this is not fun anymore.
Yep, yeah, no, I agree with that. I have one multi in a cemetery, and it's the same. That's actually the one I just went and did some maintenance on, but it's within 200 meters, so it's only two different stages. But yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, that's not bad. Those I don't mind, or the ones where you
Mm,
get there and you do a projection or something. And
hmm But then that's the same as the adventure labs. A lot of our adventure labs, you need to travel like 100 kilometers or more, which is, I don't know, what's that, 60 miles or something like that to finish all 5 stages.
oof. Yeah, there's a few in my area that they take you driving 4 different directions across town. You got to go like 20 minutes, 20 plus minutes to
uh,
each side in between. And it's like, okay, I spent 3 hours getting this one adventure
one,
lab.
yeah. See, that's where you got to be an opportunist geocacher, I think. Sometimes you got to be aware of where you're going and what's on the way, and you could pick up one stage today, and then another day, you're going in a different direction, you'll pick up the other stage.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and really sort of tackle it over some time.
Yeah, I like the adventure labs, but when I've got to go all over creation to get the
Yeah.
stages, if it's like along the Katy Trail or along the Route
Hmm.
66 highway, and that's how it's set up and you can plan for
Yes.
that versus pull this up and it's like, okay, wait a minute, where is this at on the map and where's this at on the map and how,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And it makes it challenging too, like if you've got your family in the car and they're not particularly into geocaching and you're sort of dragging them here, there, and everywhere. They're like, are we done yet? You're like, no, I've just got to travel another 45 minutes to the next stage.
Yeah,
and then we've got 3 to go.
That's kind of the boat I'm in.
Yeah.
My husband isn't really into it. He'll tag along sometimes, but he's not really into it. My son kind of is. It depends on the day.
Okay, yeah.
But he's more like 1 or 2 and done.
Yes.
Like if I'm dragging him all over the place
Yeah.
to do it, he's out. He doesn't want anything to do with it.
There's only so much patience. You got to be quick. Yeah.
Only so much patience.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Teri-Ann, thank you so much for coming on here and talking with me today and telling us about your podcast and about Australia. And thank you for entertaining my very American questions about coconut crabs and and wildlife in Australia.
No, you are welcome. It's been absolutely awesome. I want to hear, actually, I'll throw this at you off script. I want to hear your best Australian accent.
Oh, heaven help me. Good day, mate.
Hey, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I like that. I'll pay that.
Now, can you do an American one?
Oh, only from like TV and movies. My favorite one, I think it's a Boston accent, and it's you got to put the sauce on top of the pizza.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I think that's my favorite one. But yeah, we watch a lot of American shows and movies over here, so we sort of hear the accents. But yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, just that whole concept, being from here, and if somebody does this as an accent, like this is just how it talks.
That's right. Yeah, and we don't have a lot of variety of accents in Australia. It's all pretty close. It's pretty close.
Versus over here, you start going south or north, it comes different real quick.
But we're similar to you guys. In the country, they have a different way of speaking than in the city. And it's a lot slower in the country and a lot faster in the city. Things like that. So we call people that are sort of out in the outback, we call them ochre. They've got an ochre accent, which is that really g'day, mate. Really, accented, highlighted accent. But different in the city.
Yeah, you can thank the old Crocodile Dundee movies for my accent there.
Good old Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, you can't go past it. Yeah. Yeah, and Steve Irwin, he was another big one.
Yes, Steve Irwin.
Crikey.
Love that. Yes, crikey. She's a beaut.
Crikey.
She's angry.
What you got to do here is hilarious. Hilarious. I don't know anyone who talks like that, by the way.
That's funny.
It is funny. Yeah. But yeah, we even take off ourselves all the time, and it's usually the Steve Irwin. Crikey, watch out, here it comes. And the good old standard, throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where that one came from. I mean, I guess it's like the barbecue that we have here, but
I think it was a TV ad, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a beer ad. Trying to promote an Aussie beer in America, because we don't call them shrimp. So I think they sort of Americanized it.
What do you call it there if it's not shrimp? Is it
prawns?
Prawns. Okay.
Yeah.
Prawns.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But thank you for taking on the accent challenge.
Oh, hey, you know what? It will probably make some people cringe and
and others laugh. That's right.
Yes. Thank you for listening to Geocache Adventures. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If there's a topic you'd like to hear about or an adventure you'd like to share, please contact me at geocache.adventures.podcast@gmail.com, or just head over to geocacheadventures.org and head to the contact page, and you can reach out from there. I'd love to hear from you. Have you heard of FTF Magazine? It's the magazine for geocachers. It is full of articles and pictures, all submitted by geocachers just like you. I'm a subscriber myself, and I love it. My favorite part is the little snippets on the edges of the articles on all the different pages. Those are my favorites. Just go to ftfgeo.com to check them out and tell them Shadow Dragon 1 sent you.